upgrades.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to give you guys another series review. This is a non-spoiler review of One Piece. If you don't know what One Piece is, it's right now, I think, close to 1,200 episodes deep, but it is about pirates, essentially. So this was developed by Eiichiro Uda. It follows Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy is a proclaimed pirate. He has his own crew. Developing to eventually get the One Piece, which is the ultimate pirate treasure. I will say this now, and this is me talking, this is Sam talking. I have never seen any of One Piece minus one movie, which was One Piece Red. I have not, I don't have a stake in this at all. I've never introduced to these characters outside of that one movie. But the two other panelists I have here today, one of them has never seen it at all, and then the other one has. So I'm going to introduce them now. I'm going to put them on screen in 3, 2, 1. What's going on, gents?
What is going on? I am the one who has never seen One Piece. I will throw myself under that bus real quick.
What's up, Jorge? How you doing, man?
Just chilling, man. Chilling.
Yeah. And Ant Gold
3D2. Wow, I'm ready for this. Ready for this pirate action. Y'all people that know the series, y'all know that. I hope y'all lucky. I'll get to it at some point. I'm in this pirate character here. I'm ready. One Piece is like pirates, like the rules is like ninjas. If ninjas wear orange bright jumpsuits, we hit it. We hit it.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be very fascinating. So the reason why I wanted to do it this way, I wanted to make sure that we had somebody that knew the source material, and at the same time, like a couple of us that's like, okay, I don't know what this is, and I just look at this picture right here, like they're so very weirdly designed, they're so elaborate, but at the same time, so anime, right? And so just looking off of what they look like, what they identify, just without them being animated, you're like, how can they tackle this from a live action perspective? And I think that one of the things that I think we'll talk about is that they found ways of refining kind of who these characters are and trying to find a way for me to attach without knowing anything about the anime. For me, I don't have any stake in it, but I can say we've seen the first 3 episodes so far, and I want to see more. I've intentionally had everybody here not look at anything past the first 3 episodes, and I do want to watch more. I am, at this point, invested into this pirate world, and I think that the more interesting thing is that at this point where we are at, there's not any big supernatural things happening, but there are certain presentations of things to show that there are people that are very normal, and then there are people that are not. And how they get to those levels and how they get to certain ranks of pirates, we haven't even seen the start of that. And I think that I'm so invested. I'm so excited for that. But I'll let Jorge kind of give his spill on his perspective of this, because I think it's going to be a very interesting approach from you.
Yeah, no, I think for me, I'm coming at this completely blind. Like I knew nothing other than everyone talking about how One Piece is so amazing. And I got to echo what you said, Sam. Like, within these first few episodes, you really get sucked into this world and sucked into these characters. And you just want to learn more about them. And, like, it's been killing me that you kind of, like, you gave us that 3 episode limit, because I desperately want to keep binge watching this. And it's fascinating to me just how, everybody has gotten their spotlight, but already in the first 3 episodes, you're introduced to probably like 24 people, but
Yeah.
yet everyone has like key moments, and you remember these people. So like it's just interesting to see how they're going to continue developing these stories and just seeing where this leads. But so far, I mean, I'm loving it. I definitely want to see if Mr. Monkey D. Luffy becomes the greatest pirates that the world has ever seen. So I'm in all the way.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to add, like, I mean, even animes like My Hero Academia, when you kind of get the first introduction, the first episode of My Hero Academia is like, this is the story how I become, the greatest hero of all time. Like, you just love those kind of stories. But I think it's just so different with this because, as you said, like Luffy as a character, like he's a very specific type. Um, he's not edgy for no good reason, but he's not overly goofy. Like he's real. It's this great balance that I'm sensing, and I think that I'll give credit to the actor that's portraying him. Because I was like, every time I've ever seen like a meme or a small blip or even just looking at Luffy as a character, just so overly, and I don't get that sense of him overacting, but I also get that sense of like a loving character that I could grow with to see them grow up. But gonna go and move this over to Ant because Ant's coming from a different perspective because Ant knows these characters. He's seen, I don't know how far you've actually seen.
I'm caught up. At least in the manga, I'm caught up. Manga, I'm
Good
caught up.
Lord,
Jeez.
Yeah.
goodness.
Well, I actually got into One Piece kind of late because, sorry, this is making me Nick Fury vibes and not pirate vibes. Hold on a second. So, but One Piece as an art style is kind of goofy in a way, and so it kind of threw me off. Like I didn't understand how unique, and I can appreciate that now. But at the time, when you had other things going on like Full Metal Alchemist or things like that, when you're on the shonen and you're like, oh, this is serious. One Piece, if you look at some of the crazy creatures or uniforms, and some of the fashion is cool, some of it's just out there, and it kind of threw me off of it. And so, like later on, I went and there's a major arc in it, and it's kind of heartfelt and heartbreaking in it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what this leads to. And went back and watched the later episodes, so I caught up. And the thing about Oda is that everything in his panels matter, no matter how small they are, no matter what background character you think, no matter like there could be two main characters talking. You think the people in the background are just like filling up the space, and then you'll find out 10 years later, oh, this is a really important person. This connects to this, and this whole person's family, or this, and it's really well thought out. I compare it to like Game of Thrones in a way, as like Game of Thrones is based on historical events, but then like when you read the book, they'll go into songs and cultures and the spices used in a roast. That's One Piece, and it's kind of hides itself in this cheery kind of um like shonen kind of thing, but then like there's tragedy. There's no coming back from death. Characters gain scars and experience, and there's no like I'm the best because I'm just the chosen one, and I'm going to fight people that's been doing this for 40 years. And oh no, you got to earn. In this series, you have to earn everything you get. And when characters are reaching for their dreams and just miss it, they snot bubble cry. The hardest character in this series will snot bubble cry. You'll feel them like, yeah, man, you'll get it next time. So this is just a series. You know what? People talk about this is so long and when it's gonna end. And it's not Berserk, and I love me some Berserk. This is almost comfort food at this point. Like, where are we gonna go next? When you first get into the animated series, I know I'm talking about we ended all right. When you first get to the animated series, this Usopp introduction thing lasts for long periods of episodes. Like he'll take a long time just introducing one character on one island where other animes are doing filler. One Piece have to worry about that. He's already he's putting his own canon filler in these episodes to introduce one character and all the other characters and a universal principle that he won't even like reveal for another decade. So it's just a very cool concept. And even this shirt, like if y'all get to it, y'all get to it. But I don't know. It's an awesome series, but it's an investment. It is an investment. We have a mutual friend that I think got all the episodes last year in 6 months. I think we got through them all. like constantly watched them all. So yeah, I don't know if any of that made sense. I tried to condense it a little bit into
No,
one piece.
no, this is fun. So yeah, I mean, one of the things I think the trepidation that a lot of people have when it comes to anime and transition to live action in general, it's never been up to par. I think that there's certain like small little pivots here or there. Like if you take like, well, you know what? I can't even say that because Old Boy was technically a manga, and then they made it to a live action movie. Same thing for Alice in Borderlands. That was a manga made into a series. So it's very hard to go from transition from a manga to an anime and then to a live action. Like they have not cracked that code yet. And then I mean, of course, we've been let down before with some of the things that Netflix kind of put out. But with going into this one, I think there was a lot of people that were kind of already throwing this in the dirt. I kind of in my head was like, oh Lord. So for me to watch it, right, and I'm just putting myself on the spotlight here. I'm gonna put myself all the way under the bus. I actually really enjoyed this. Um, I enjoyed it to the point that like as soon as they introduced Luffy as a character, and even like they kind of did do a small little flashback of kind of a certain scenario with him and what he wanted to be, why he's aspiring to be the king of the pirates, or even showing like the original, like how this all started. There was something about like how they use like actual set design. They actually were on actual ships. They actually were using certain places and themes, and even each character. Like I was like, when Zoro came up, like honestly, I'll just use Zoro as an example. As soon as Zoro came onto the scene, I was like, yo, I like this dude. Like straight up, like he is just so chill but deadly. But at the same time, he's not like, oh, I'm not gonna compromise this, but you know what, I like it. And it's just very fascinating for me to actually get connected to these characters that have been going on for years in a theme like this, in a series that, in all intents and purposes, just especially how elaborate that the animation's supposed to be. I didn't think it would actually work. And I've actually really enjoyed and been invested in how they progressed these characters. But I do want to go and kind of hit that other parallel to that. So, as far as approach to certain characters, and I'm gonna pick on you first. If you look at any of these characters and any of the actors that are portraying them, do you feel like any of them are kind of like not doing a service to the characters or giving you identification of what the characters are? Because I mean, I think that at this point now, I can say without spoiling too much that these are young versions of these characters. Like these, matter of fact, the actors are very young. I have something to say about that, but I wanted to pick Ant's brain about how they're at least approaching the characters, because we haven't gotten enough into the meat and potatoes of where this is going, but just their approach to the characters. I was curious your perspective.
So when it comes to these adaptations, like you talked about, I would think something like if we rewind like 5 years, I would think something like Death Note would be easier to translate than One Piece to a live action format. And then we see how they drop the ball with like Death Note, and you're like, oh, I don't see how you're gonna do One Piece. What I like about this is that they lean into these characters, right? Even to where they have the cosplay wigs to get the hair color for the characters into it. Not only that, One Piece kind of actually fits for 2023 because it's a diverse cast. In the manga, all these are multinational. This crew is multinational, and the energy these guys are bringing for the characters of the crew we've seen so far. Luffy, that's how I imagine Luffy to act. And it would have been really easy to just watch the show and parody the show to be that extra, you know what I mean? That extra cartoony animated. But he didn't really do that. He brought a live action Luffy to it. Um, and I think he's doing a good job. He's a cheerful character, doesn't let things get down. He he gives other people agency to do what they want to do. We said with Kobe earlier when he was like, "Come on," he's like, "Not coming." You saw his face, was like, "Oh, I wish you come," but no, you become the best Marine possible. He smiles when he has a smile, and he says his mind. It really works for me. Zoro is cool. He is the cool character in the cast. If you look at it, but I think when you get the crew all together, there are a lot of people who are going to resonate with different characters, not just the cool swordsman or just not just Nami, who they've Nami it has some combat capability later on, but they've kind of upped that for this. So yeah, I think they got the essence of the characters down. Even also One Piece is just silly art. If you just pull up the axe hand guy or Garp wearing that dog hat or things like that, these seems like silly concepts that would be hard to translate to live action. And they're just leaning into it and saying, look, our story is so good that even as silly as this might look, you're going to get into it. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go ahead and kind of get into this. So as far as like one thing I was going to bring up was like how young the cast is, and the fact that, and I think Jorge, you were going to kind of bring it up here, is that this is like 1100 episodes currently. And so I was kind of questioning it too. Like, you got to cast young, and this crew, whether they're young or not, they feel very young. Like, I don't know if it's the way that they're portraying their characters. Like, you can tell that they're in their origin story now. And I think that I can identify that with how the story is going and flowing, even though you do have other characters that are bigger than life that hasn't been shown yet, and other characters that are, that even them's like they haven't been influenced by this Straw Hat crew just yet. And I think that is the most exciting thing, that these characters are so young. I don't know how they're going to stretch this to be kind of like what they did with Stranger Things, because they're going to have to fill in certain gaps. But I do think that they intentionally casted this young, and I think they can make it work. It just, I need to see how this ends. I need to kind of see how the
luck with that
ends before we go that route. But I do like that they casted young, and I feel the energy. But I did question the same exact thing, Jorge. Anything you want to kind of bring up in terms of like the first few episodes that you kind of like, okay, I don't know about this, or like there's a reason why I want to continue? What do you think you pinpoint that for you?
Yeah, so for me, I think some of the stuff you just mentioned right now, with the cast being so young, you actually kind of see that, especially with most of the people that they've been fighting right now, seem like adults that they're fighting. So it's almost like kids versus adults, or like teenagers. The thing that I really liked about it, and it's very minor, I think, like cinematography, but every time they introduce a villain, they don't just like introduce the villain, but they put like the villain in like the most wanted poster in a very like cheeky way. And I think for me that every time that, whenever they're in town and they walk by a most wanted poster, like I'm actually looking at all these people, because already we've been introduced to so many of them that it's just like, oh, this is kind of neat. For me, I think what's really cool, or at least what and you probably know this more than me because I've never seen this, but I love the storyline that they dropped already with Monkey and Kobe. Like, I think that's going to be a very like yin and yang throughout this entire series in one way or another. But I like the way that they made everything in a weird way, like it's very believable in this world. And hearing you, Ant, kind of talk about how this is this, and like in the manga and all that, how it's kind of like way out there, and even in the anime, how some of the design cues and all that, it translated so well, at least for me, and I haven't seen it, but it translated so well to the live action. And I think for me, I haven't seen a good live action like cartoon to real life people adaptation that this actually gives me a lot of hope. And I think the one thing that I got out of this was I actually want to go see the anime now, which is interesting because I'm looking at the replica of it in a weird way, but I want to get invested into the original as well. But no, overall, I love the way that some of the little design cues that they've taken, and some of the action scenes, the way that they've done it is amazing. And yeah, like the psycho clown guy, like such a phenomenal character. Like little things like that. And I was gonna ask, but you kind of answered it with the guy that was he the general with the dog hat or
Garp.
what? Yeah, like that was it was so out there and crazy to me, but you just kind of roll with it because it's like, oh, okay. Like I'm pretty sure that a lot of these like intricacies are really going to pop out later on. But for now, it's like you kind of look at it and it's, for me, it's almost like a feather in a cap where you'll see it, you know, in like 3 episodes from now, and you're like, oh, that's that one guy who was back here, you know, 4 episodes ago. So I love this so far, and I like kind of how they're taking it. And I would say my only fear, but because they casted young, I don't think it'll be a problem. But is you don't want them to outage their characters too quickly.
So, oh no,
No,
sorry,
yeah,
interrupt you.
go for it.
No, so it's good that they cast the young, or at least have a young feel to it. In a lot of different shonen stories, there's a time jump. This isn't a spoiler. There's a lot of time jumps in series, and so there is a time jump in One Piece. So and because there's so many stories to tell up until that point, I feel like even if they have to stop and because the manga has another 10 years in it, and they come back, they'll still be good, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think that, but what really impressed me is that did y'all watch Avatar, like Last Airbender? Did y'all watch the series? You know how the movie kind of like try to condense like this whole book into like, and it was like you just missed a lot of the parts. Like it doesn't work because look at the story. What I'm sure there's going to be some purists out there that'll be like, no, you missed this really important part. But they condensed, I think, the first 15 episodes of the series into these 3 episodes,
Oh,
and they
wow.
did in a way that kind of Batman began me. Like, all right, this is different than I like for some of these things, but you still got the essence of it. And some of it I looked at like, oh, this whole scene takes place in a tent because you have to worry about the background. You got a peek of the outside village, and
Yeah.
then you take place in a tent, so you don't have to. You can do this believably, or it's all in the ship. So they're doing things. I can see the budget way is like, all right, we're doing this and we can do it right, but it makes sense for the story we're telling, if that makes sense. Um, and I think Oda is it's just it's fascinating how when people get into this, like I remember you see a random person now. These things will pop up to you now. Like I remember in a random interview, Jamie Lee Curtis was talking about, oh no, my favorite series is One Piece. They're like, what? One
Right.
Piece? And she was like, yeah, my favorite character is Chopper Chopper. And the one guy, I think one of the interviews didn't get it, and the other was like, oh yeah. It was kind of like Henry Cavill and Warhammer in a way. Like you see these people just bring it up, and you're like, yeah. And so and I even shared some things with y'all before. Like One Piece characters show up in a lot of different ways. They had a slice of life commercial for some other product where it just showed the characters in our world but in high school. And but it was like just commercials of different segments of like, you know, the cooking, Nami stealing, Zoro training, like it's but you get to, it's one of those things where you get to love these characters and you know how the character react for. And my man Shanks does not show up. I mean, Shanks is one of the top favorite characters in the series, but he doesn't show up for long stretches at a time. But people love him when he shows up because it's impactful. It's well written. And I think that One Piece does things with the story that, you know, we watch a lot of media. And a lot of times we can guess the story beats of things where it's like, all right, this will happen, then this will happen, and then this will happen. I'm just watching to see how it's going to happen and how what the camera angle is going to be, or what's this particular character is going to do with this situation. One Piece will throw stuff at you like, what? That's what that was this whole time, or what? No, you're supposed to win. like that's how this so. I think that's what, and because it's so long, it is the anime. If I'm dating myself, but if Fullmetal Alchemist is like the mash of anime, then this is like the soap opera of anime, like the comfort food of anime. It's going on for so long, and you're just tuning in to see these characters, and you root for them, and you know they're all individual hero characters, all on the crew, and and the signs are kind of blurry too because not all the bad guys are pirates, not all the good guys are marines, vice versa. It's just interesting. I know I'm ranting a lot. I'm trying not to spoil stuff, so like I don't know if it makes any sense what I'm saying.
It's okay. I've been behind some other rants of yours that have sounded a lot differently, so this is fun.
Oh, dang.
But I ain't gonna bring my lightsaber out today. But no, I do want to harp on one thing that Jorge brought up was camera angles. There was a random shot where I think it was Zoro, Luffy, and Nami together on a ship, and it kind of focused on them for a little bit. Then it shifted like this and shifted like that, and then it went outward as
Like
far
a
as the
fishbowl, right? Like I don't know camera lens, but it
yeah.
felt like
And
a
I was
fish.
like, that's so because it feels like you would see that in a panel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then there were certain other moments where you see certain characters when they're first getting introduced. I think you harped on it even before you actually see their wanted signs. Like this is this character. I'll put this up only because it'll make us laugh because they do it so well that I know every single one of these characters
Yeah,
in these first 3 episodes, and I can pick out like, yo, they did that. They did that. and to like you said, Jorge, I want now. Can't believe I'm saying this. I may have to go watch. I may have to actually go back and watch One Piece because now, like, I'm legit invested now. I don't. If anything, I can say, and I haven't seen One Piece. This will probably invoke you to want to watch the anime by the end of the time you finish watching this. Because out of the first 3 episodes, I'm already there. Like now.
just to see what happens. Just to see what happens after this. Was that Ian McShane narrating this at first?
I think it was in the very beginning. Now I don't know what character he's playing, but yeah, it was.
If he's just a narrator, I think that's an awesome choice for narrator. I wonder what they sold him on to just come over there. I wonder if he's a secret One Piece fan too. like One Piece, what character? Like, no, I just want you to narrate. I'm in. I'm in. Because that's such a random voice to be put on this show. I mean, it fits, but it was just a random narration.
Yeah, they got him. Yeah, they do have him include voice.
Oh, does he have a character?
I I'm not gonna say here. We'll wait. We'll leave it. We'll leave it for spoilers. We're gonna have spoilers.
Can you put in the chat? Because I'm curious if it's this guy. In my head, that's the only person I thought it could be.
I'll send it to you after this. But let's round this out. I mean, for me, honestly, man, like this is not an anime I've ever even seen like that. I've seen one movie. I was confused, but for some reason the movie made me have like an emotional reaction. For me to never have seen something, that's one reason why I was like interested in this. But again, I'll give them credit because I have not seen a really good anime, manga to anime to live action transition done very well. I actually intrigued to see where this goes. I'm liking it. I can't say I love it yet because I haven't seen enough of it, but it's at least brought me to the point that I need to see where this goes. I gotta binge the rest of it. By the time we binge the rest of it, you guys, we'll give you guys a full spoiler discussion on it. I know some of you guys are One Piece purists and like, how dare you review a One Piece without seeing it? But how much better is it that me and Jorge are watching it, having not known, then the source material is what it is. And of course, that's going to invoke something. But if they are actually doing it in a way that's wanting us to see the anime and not being like, maybe the anime could have done it better, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that they're doing it in such a way that we're interested and invested now. We just want to see more. So that's the way that I think about it personally.
I think that it says something. Remember when back in the day, the first X-Men movie came out, they put them all in black biker uniforms because they were ashamed of the comic book roots in a way. And we didn't really get comic book costumes until like later on in Marvel. Even Marvel was dipping their toes and stuff at first. I think it's something to say about like this is a creative vision, and when you just go with it, don't be apologetic. Don't even bring up that this guy's dressed like a sheep. Is he a sheep? Is he not a sheep? I don't know if he's a sheep. Like we're just gonna go with it that this world is just there's nothing in this world. I think audiences, if the story is good enough, the character's compelling enough, they'll just roll with it. Like, what is this about? I guess we'll play it to be some point. I'm in it, and it makes it. I'm a big fan of this, is I think that even if audiences don't know, when a story has mythos behind it, it makes it more 3D. When it's really thought out, and even if you don't know what the thought out is, even if you don't know who these characters are mentioning or what this handshake means, or like, oh, this is this character that's this other character's father, like, but you didn't know that at the time. It makes the world seem more real, and you can suspend your disbelief to go into it. Like, this is just how this world works. We're rolling with it. Let's see what happens. And I think this is a good testament to that in the first episode. I'm sure there's going to be some people that just hate it because it's not the original and you can't outdo the original. I am sure. there were things in these first three that I was like, oh, they did it better. I think I texted y'all one. I was like, they did it better, and this one, I feel like they needed to fill some space in the scene, and they made it more elaborate, but it takes away from later. But you know what? This is a dull thing, but did they do it just to get the spirit to it? And I think, unlike what they usually say, I think Oda actually was involved in this to some levels, unlike just
I heard
putting
that.
the dudes at. So
I did hear that.
I'm gonna stop ranting because I'm talking more than.
No, I think that's a good point because I do remember even when it was kind of like the Comic-Con time before that, I think they did the Tadum and they were talking about how Oda was a part of this, as well as if you actually want to listen to it in Japanese, they actually reprised all the original voice actors back for their characters to give them those voices as well, which is pretty freaking dope. So if you want to kind of feel like full purist, you can at least hear it, regardless of how you feel about what's actually happening on paper. So I thought that was really dope. But I think also the budget, man. Again, these are practical like sets. Like some of those are actual ships. They're on the water a good amount of the time. Like so I'm really impressed by that. But no, I think that's a good point, yeah. Closing remarks. Jorge, what do you think? What do you rank this from A to F?
Yeah, no, I would say the one thing that I knew about One Piece coming into this, which is like this much, but it was that it's one of the best storytelling, like getting you connected with these characters. And just seeing these first 3 episodes, you can tell that they can do all the goofiness stuff that they want to do, but it's the story that's like sucking you in, and it's like you literally are like falling in love with some of these characters, and you want to see where it takes it. So the storytelling is second to none. For me, if I had to grade this, and obviously not fully seeing it, just seeing the first 3 episodes, I'm like really high on this. Like I'll happily give it an A. Like it's been able to be able to see a show that at the end of the day is a remake and you enjoy it to the point where you want to see the original, like that like for me that tells me something. And right now, like more time is the most valuable thing, and knowing that I want to spend my time watching the anime of this like just shows me like how much, because I figured each episode I was thinking was going to be probably like 10 to 15 episodes in the show, because you don't know how much they're going to truncate it. But like it just makes me want to dive in more, because I can only imagine how much crazier the anime is. And I think for me they're doing a lot of smart stuff, and I am all in on this, and I cannot wait to see where this goes. But so far, I mean, 2 major thumbs up on this one.
And I think that no, I think that it's also something that when I saw them show how Luffy got his scar, I was like, oh, because I really thought they were going to like change that up for like a like showing this in the States. I thought they were going to change that up for how he gets his scar. And I don't know if you remember it. Like One Piece was on Fox Kids or something like that for a while. Had a pretty cool rap song, but they changed a bunch of stuff in the series to bring it over here. And I don't think it did it. I don't think it did as well. But when they're able to use some of the language they use, when they're showing some of the blood and loss of some things, I think this is a show. And that might seem like everybody can't watch it, but I still feel like anybody could watch this. Like you can get something from this from almost any age if you just like. All right, they use this word every once in a while, or there's going to be some blood, but there's also going to be some humor. There's also going to be some really good personality, some character development. You can grow with these characters.
Yeah. So, Ant, where do you rest on this? What is your A to F rate? Final close.
Which was your question over here, sir? So I'm just going to say I would say it's an A right now. Excuse me, A right now from what I've seen, and we'll see where it goes. You can't compare it to an anime where they can use, they can have an open warfare every episode on the sea and stuff like that. They do some creative choices to make the spaces they have to work with larger and entertaining. So right now I'm with an A. This is probably the best anime to live action Western thing I've seen in a minute. Ever, pretty much ever.
That's saying something coming from that. Yeah, I seen Ant fry some people over. Yeah, I seen Ant fry some stuff. Yeah. So another thing that we didn't kind of bring up, and I think that you touched on it a little bit, is that everybody can watch this, but do know some of these action fight scenes can be gory. We saw a couple different people get laid out. There's definitely some blood. There's definitely some dismemberment. That threw me off. I was like, I thought this was a wholesome man. I was like, this is violence going on.
One Piece can shift because it'd be like, oh, some goofy fights. He's stretching hand, saying weird catchphrases with his punches and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then someone will die. You'd be like, oh crap! And characters treat death like there is no cool stoicism. And it's like if somebody you love dies, you bawl and you know and you got to get out. Like it's one of those shows that it's deceptive. If you were to look at the goofiness of it, it's deceptive of how inspirational or tragic or heartfelt it can actually be as a series.
Yeah, and I peeped that even with the second episode because up until the second episode, we've kind of seen Luffy like all bubbly and under control, and then all of a sudden somebody starts messing with the man's hat, and you're like, wait, what's wrong with him? You know, and I do like that. I do like that. Even the last episode we watched, there was somebody had an emotional breakdown. Um, just truly trying to they're trying to recognize their reality, what it actually is, and it's just stuff like that. I do like. This is an A for me, man. I'm all the way there. I mean, I think that even with some of the fights that they've done, it's been well choreographed. It's not like like you have a fight scene just like this. No, they space it out and they let you kind of see. That's why I love Zoro, because Zoro's fight scenes are some of the best, to be honest. But even how they use Luffy, I've seen, man, this might be the best stretchy character they've ever used because every other Fantastic Four movie, I think who else they've used like a stretch Armstrong, it's just not been done well. And I think they pivoted and they let it be kind of natural fight scenes while also showing what he can do. Yeah. And if they pull their cards right, they could actually like, yeah, man, we might get a plastic man over something like this. But anyway, what were you gonna say?
Well, I bring this up a lot. Like, the scene where Luke Skywalker throws his lightsaber away and like a Jedi, like my father before me thing. Hold on, I'm going somewhere with it. You didn't really see that in films before. Like, it's usually the good guy just beating the bad guy.
It's still here, I have it. I caught it. It's still here.
That always resonated with me because it was like a moral victory over it. There's a scene in the second episode where in another action movie, a bar fight would have happened. But there's a character that's like, no, that's not straight, man. You don't know what this. You don't know. You don't like. Let me show you. We gonna teach you manliness throughout this show. And I think that's a scene that we really wouldn't. I really can't even think of a scene that because even in scenes like that, like Mr. Miyagi doesn't want to avoid a fight, but the person won't let him avoid a fight, so the bar fight still happens. You know what I mean? But in this scene, it's like no, like blah blah blah, blah, blah. And that's what I mean. It's refreshing to see that type of situation just skewed a little differently and how the different characters perceive it and execute it differently. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Like, does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. It makes sense. That makes sense. So in other words, you guys, believe it or not, go and check out One Piece. Go check out Netflix version of One Piece. I guess unanimously are saying that it's not some trash.
At least the first two episodes are trash.
Yeah, it's worth going and checking out. We will be going through the whole entire season, and we'll give you guys a more spoiler discussion on it. But from what we've seen in the first 3 episodes, like, I mean, for the most part, we're invested, and I think that they were able to pull something, no pun intended, out of their hat, and I'm very excited to see where we're going to go from here. We're going to go. It's been about 39 minutes, close to 40. Go and check. By the time you guys have watched this, I think it will be available to you guys to go ahead and watch. So don't waste any more time hearing us. Go and check the joint out. Let us know.
Are you saying they should all find the episodes in One Piece?
We're gonna go. All right. Y'all look at Zoro and be cool. And we love you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button, and stay tuned for our spoiler discussion. It's gonna be probably coming out sometime this weekend. Have a great 3-day weekend, you guys. Peace, people.
Filing out the top of the
I can see Skylar, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't